delivering what God has granted to them seriously.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Amen?
Amen.
All right, our lesson is going to come out of Acts chapter 16. Acts chapter 16.
Yes, sir.
And our title is Destined for Success.
All right. Amen.
Destined for success.
Come on with it, Pastor.
And as we look at Acts chapter 16, we find that the Apostle Paul is being encouraged to come to a particular city. Verse 9 outlines that calling. It says, and a vision appeared to Paul in the night, and there stood a man of Macedonia and prayed him, saying, come over into Macedonia and help us.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Amen.
Destined for success.
Yes, sir. All right.
Destined or driven to success really are synonymous. And we recognize that our lesson opens up where Paul is traveling all through Asia. And while he's traveling, at some point when he is resting and preparing to have his itinerary set for the next day. Many of us, when we go to sleep at night, we do so knowing that we have things planned for the next day.
Yes, sir. All right.
Those of you who went to sleep last night knew you were going to be in church today. You knew that you were going to be worshiping the Lord God in spirit and in truth.
Yes, sir.
You knew that you were coming to Calvary either in person or online.
Yes, sir.
No one had to remind you. No one had to control you. No one had to force you. You knew last night what you were going to do.
Yes, sir.
You were going to come to church and worship Jesus. And so as we look at this lesson, it identifies a call. There is a vision that the Apostle Paul received. He's at night, he's preparing for the next day or the next few days of ministry, and he recognized in a dream, or a vision of a man, he recognized the night before that God had a plan for him.
Yes, sir.
And what the man says is that I need you to come over into Macedonia and help us. So that means the call came with a commission. And the commission is a godly impression. It's a strong feeling, a sense that I have to go somewhere to do something. God's not going to call you to go somewhere to do nothing. And so he recognized that there's a godly impression to go to Macedonia by way of this nighttime vision. So he makes a commitment. And he follows the commission of God. And you know, when I think about other commitments, many of us made the commitment to be in church today. And that's because worshipers, true worshipers, according to Jesus, worship God in spirit and in truth. Am I right about it? And true worshipers don't have to be begged to go to church. Don't have to be reminded. Don't have to be texted. Don't have to be emailed. Don't have to be tweeted. Y'all need to go to church. If you are a true worshiper of the Most High God, you will automatically find yourself in church on worship day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So whenever I travel and am known to be in a particular town on a Sunday, I always try to find a good church to visit. I make it my business. If I know that I'm going to be anywhere over a Sunday, I will make sure I find a place where I can worship the Lord. So when Paul arrived in Macedonia, he found a church to visit.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It was a small group that met near a river. And these types of churches were known to us as steal-away churches. But really, they're just underground churches. Groups of people that gather outside the watchful eye of Rome. And they could be found in obscure locations like the river that Paul discovers with this particular group. And when he arrived, he would find this happening with the underground churches. People praying, people teaching, people preaching, people even eating together.
Yes, sir.
It's almost like it was a group of people that got together for a potluck and had church. So you know they had to be Baptists. Because we believe in eating when we do some meeting. Ain't nobody listening to me. Ain't nobody listening to me. So there's a divine appointment. A meeting ordained by God. The Apostle Paul, a missionary, and as a missionary, we know that they minister around the globe. That's what missionaries do. And they go wherever God sends them to minister to whoever God sends them to minister to.
All right.
Are you with me so far? And how many people know that you can't travel without money, honey?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so ministry, mission, and money all go together. And the fact that Paul arrived in Macedonia is a point to ponder, but what is even more poignant to remember is that he had a divine appointment. How many people know what a divine appointment is? That's when God says, I want you to meet this person right here, and I've got something I want you to do in their life. So you might think you're just going to the supermarket. I almost called the name, but y'all have to pay me not to delay. But you would go to a supermarket and then the Lord will point them out and say, I want you to pray for that one right there. And you can go to the car wash and God will point them out and say, I want you to give that person $5. You can be wherever doing whatever. You go get your hair done. I'm gonna be on that point in a minute. You can get your hair done and find someone sitting right next to you going through a storm and they need an encouraging word from you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So yeah, that's a divine appointment. That means that if you had not gone there, that person would not have met God that day. Because he sent you to give them that word.
That's a good word, Pastor.
And so what makes this story even more impressive is that Paul meets Lydia.
All right. All right.
And that's an important point in this divine appointment. Now, there's divine acceptance. Lydia was in need of spiritual development. Did somebody catch that? She was around believers, but she was really trying to get stronger in her faith. And when you have an underground church, that means you can't go to Bible study every Wednesday because they'll figure you out. You can't go to the same spot every Sabbath day because they will figure you out and arrest you. So they had to pick their spots to meet. And they had to keep it underground so that they wouldn't be discovered. So it's hard to find a church when it's always moving around. And it's hard to grow in God when you can't get to church to get the word. And so she was in need of spiritual development. And as soon as she met and spent time with the Apostle Paul, it became clear that she needed her spiritual security. So she and her household got baptized.
All right.
They recognized where they were in God and they got baptized. She made sure that she didn't just get her life right. Everybody in her house, the servants, everybody around her that was important to her, she got them involved with Jesus.
Yes, sir. All right.
So she had divine acceptance. And we also know that she was destined to achieve. She was a seller of purple, which is an expensive dye found in Thyatira.
Yes, sir.
And one could use this dye on clothing, draperies, furniture, whatever that you had that you could put color to. If you had the money, you can get it dyed in purple.
Come on, brother.
Only the rich could afford to purchase anything purple. This meant that Lydia was a wealthy woman with wealthy customers.
Yes, sir. All right.
That's people, when you call them wealthy, that's because they got expendable income.
All right.
Do y'all know what that means, having expendable income? I just saw that our Facebook feed just stopped all of a sudden. It looks like the camera's on, but we're going to keep going. We might have to upload this one in from YouTube later. All right, so she had rich friends. And when you have rich friends, that means not only do you have money to spend on expensive things. And somebody says, can you lay that out for me? Well, okay, in today's time, that would mean that you could purchase a Cartier ink pen.
All right. Come on, Pastor. Okay.
A Rolex watch.
All right.
Yeah. You could purchase a Bagley Mishka purse. You could have some alligator shoes made to order. And so those that had expendable income, could buy things that the average person can't buy. And then they hang out with other folk that can buy expensive things as well. So for breakfast, you might have lobster and eggs. Is someone listening to me? For lunch, you can have Angus steak, medium well, with mashed potatoes, asparagus, and for dessert, creme brulee. Ain't nobody listening to me. Expendable income suggests that you will go to places that the average person ain't going to be able to go to get your whatever it is you want to buy. So Lydia is one of these power brokers. The ones that rub shoulders with folk that make the decisions for everyone in the community. It would be like today's power broker would be hanging out at the governor's mansion and on speed dial in the mayor's office. And someone that can reach the commissioner of the police department within a few seconds. And they don't drive no more. They have someone drive them. And I ain't talking about Uber.
All right.
So here she is, a power broker, and she becomes, check this, one of the Apostle Paul's financial backers.
Yes, sir.
So when he traveled, he often thanked people like Lydia. Because without their financial support, his ministry would struggle.
All right.
Insert Black History moment. Sarah Breedlove was born December 23rd, 1867.
Yes, sir. All right.
Her parents, Owen and Minerva, were Louisiana sharecroppers who had been born into slavery.
No, you're right about it.
Sarah, spelled with an H, was their fifth child.
All right.
And was the first in her family to be born free because of the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yes, sir.
Her early life was marked by hardship. She was orphaned at 6, married at 14, had a daughter, Alayla, in 1885, and became a widow at 20. Sarah's life had some disappointment.
Yes, sir.
As she is trying to maneuver being a single mother, she worked as best she could. She found out that a greater disappointment was in her present life. She developed a scalp condition that caused her hair to fall out. How many people know that sometimes our calling comes out of our calamity? Sarah Breedlove had a problem that caused her hair to fall out, and there are only 3 solutions to this problem.
All right. All right.
Wrap it,
Yeah.
wig it, or worry. So this disappointment moved in another direction, disappearance. Before Sarah found a solution to her problem, her husband disappeared. In other words, he left her and her daughter alone. And how many people know that there are folk in our lives that will board our train, but will get off before the train reaches its destination?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So folks start and stop with us all the time. So don't let life's disappointments derail your destiny. Sarah, a single mother, recognized her disappointment and that her disappointment can lead to a discovery if she's committed to God. Walker and 2-year-old Alayla moved to St. Louis. Sarah and her daughter moved to St. Louis, where she balanced working as a laundress, meaning you cleaning folks' clothes by hand, and trying to make time to go to night school. So as her disappointment is, in front of her, and the disappearance of her husband is in her immediate past, she makes a discovery.
All right.
You know, when you turn things over to Jesus, he will work it out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Turn it over to the Lord.
All right. I'm a witness.
Discovery means there are solutions to problems. And solutions to problems are often grounded in trial and error.
Yes, sir.
In other words, you will fail as you try. But the point is not to stop trying as you fail. The point is to continue trying because he that hath begun a good work in you will perform.
All right. That's the word.
Yeah, so how many people know that your problem may become your purpose and your passion? So Sarah, her problem was her hair was falling out, yet she makes a discovery. She discovered it is important to oil and condition the scalp. To oil and condition the scalp.
All right.
Scalp therapy may cause your hair to grow back. That's what she learned.
Yes, sir.
And her discovery led to her hair growing back. And that's when her hair grew back, her confidence came back.
All right. All right.
Her shoulders were back. Yeah, her walk was back. Her pep in her step was back. Her smile was back. All because she found a discovery that the Lord placed in her life. And you know what happened? When you got the right attitude and the smile and you got some pep in your step, brothers will look at you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ain't nobody looking at me in church. Hallelujah, somebody. That's when Sarah became Mrs. Charles J. Walker.
All right. All right.
You get your hair fixed, then a brother might take notice. Stop playing, Reverend. All right, once she fixed the problem, her problem, she recognized that other women had the same problem that she had.
Uh-huh.
All she had to do was look around.
Yeah.
And at that time, the women had the same option. Wrap it, wig it, or work it.
Uh-huh.
So how many people know that if your purpose and passion are strong enough, helping people overcome this same problem might become your profession? That is where she finds her destiny. Sarah Walker was helped by her discovery, and she knew it was her destiny to help others.
Uh-huh.
Part of that destiny was to go into the streets and sell this product door to door. And everybody can't sell door to door. When you go door to door, you're meeting strangers. And when you meet strangers, sometimes strangers are rude. Sometimes strangers are very short with their attitude. You got to have something on the inside that's working on your outside that allow you to sell door to door and in the street. They call that drive. Driven to succeed. Drive, something within us that pushes us forward. Drive. Sarah had drive. And you can hear when you are going door to door and pitching product in the streets, you will hear hundreds of no responses. Most of you know I have a background in sales. My background in sales took me to a whole lot of high places in my life. But they didn't come without a lot of low places in my life. Because when you think you got the sale and the person tells you, no, I bought it from your competition, that's a low place. That's a place where you have to sit back and realize and take time to reorganize your thoughts so that the next time you get that close to a sale, you don't lose it. Because one thing I can tell you, if you do everything right and the person still buys from the competition, it's not because you are bad. It's just because they chose something else over you. And so what I've learned is to say, well, it's your loss. It ain't my loss. You have to learn how to think that way if you're going to do well in sales. I got at least one or two salespeople in the house that can tell you that it takes being able to overcome failure, overcome being told no before you can hear a yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And every time I got a yes, that meant there was money in my pocket. Money to pay for some stuff to go on the table. Hallelujah. Money to put rings on my wife's finger. I'm trying to tell y'all, money to buy my wife. I'm telling you, money to take care of my children. I'm telling you, when you are driven, you will do everything you can not to lose a sale.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, Sister Walker heard a lot of no's, but she learned something about herself.
All right.
She can regroup and push forward.
Yes, sir.
So she had a dream. Once you start feeling that this profession could be big, she had a dream.
Yes, sir.
To have a hair care product, her own line of hair care products. She called it the Walker system.
All right.
You want to get your hair straight? You need to try the Walker system. You want your hair to grow back? You need the Walker system. She used her business acumen, trial and error, to make sure that she met people who were wrapping it and wigging it so that they could work. So yes, her hair care product was so popular that she became a millionaire.
All right.
Known as the first black woman millionaire. And that's because she dreamed big.
Yes, sir.
And the bigger she dreamt, the bigger she became in terms of her empire. She wanted to get distribution in the local stores.
Yes, sir.
See, when you dream big, you ain't no more thinking about trying to go door to door. You want the store to sell it for you.
Yes,
So if you can get your products in the store, you done made it.
all right.
And she was one who was able to do that.
Yes, sir.
So yes, her self-promotion. Yes, her stick-to-itiveness. Yes, her ability to overcome obstacles. Yes, her ability to be strong even though she was a black woman. Yes, her ability to employ thousands of young black beauty culturalists is what she called them. Led her to become a black millionaire before that was even known as a possibility for us. But what makes her similar to Lydia is that this self-made millionaire used her fortune not to be selfish and to keep it all to herself,
All right.
not sharing with anyone else. She used it to fund scholarships for women at the Tuskegee Institute. She donated large parts of her wealth to the NAACP, the Black YMCA, and many other charities. She was a part of God's family, which means that she knew who Jesus is. And in case there's somebody here that does not know who Jesus is, let me help you out for a moment. Jesus is one who was called through 42 generations to come and see about us. He was commissioned by God to go to the earth and to introduce the people to the possibility of being in the family of God. And you know that when Jesus is coming, miracles abound. He was able to heal the sick and raise the dead, feed thousands with a little bit, and he did so because he followed his call and commission by God. And then he had the commitment to be a worshiper so that you can see what a worshiper ought to look like and ought to act like and how a worshiper sounds. And so as Jesus is living his life on this earth, he got some enemies. When you have enemies, they will trump up charges against you. Yes, sir. And lead you from judgment hall to judgment hall. Yes, when they discovered that Jesus was the Son of God, they decided he has to die. And so his purpose for being here was not just to live, but to die for each of us. And so, yes, he was hung on an old rugged cross. They hung him high and they stretched him wide until he died on the old rugged cross. They took him and placed him in a borrowed tomb, and he stayed there 3 days, but early on the third day, Jesus got up with all power in his hands. In other words, he was destined for success. He said, all power I have in heaven above, all power I have on earth below. And if I have all power, I grant you the keys of the kingdom. And if I give you the keys of the kingdom, then you shall be destined for success. So what he wants us to say is, yes, Lord, yes, to your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Lord, yes. I will trust you and obey. When your spirit speaks to me with my whole heart, I'll agree. For my answer will be yes, Lord, yes. Destined for success. Give the Lord a hand, give the Lord a hand, give the Lord a hand, give the Lord a hand. Destined for success. Destined for success. At this time, we know that it is appropriate to pray. As we are wrapping up our YouTube feed, we're going to ask that you would recognize the prayer altar. Prayer altar is really a time